As you can see, I started cleaning up my interface. If I do a command return, you can see I added a link for the art department. All the others are still functioning the way they did before. So I'm going to do the first three. I'm going to start off with the office, which is a new link that I added, the art department office. Then we're going to go to animation and art education. And what I want to do is I want to bring in a text box that appears as this clicks on. Now, this process is relatively easy to do. It's just one of those things you just can't get distracted, otherwise you're going to have to come back and correct the mistake. So let me do it slowly. I'm going to start off by selecting one of the dot movies. I'll do a Command C for copy. I'm going to create a brand new file. The dimensions are irrelevant. This is essentially only going to function as a workbench, but it does have to be HTML5 canvas. That's it. That's the only thing you need to make sure, and it should have some size to it, obviously. So we'll paste that in here. First thing I'm going to do is rename this. Now, since I'm working on the art department movie clip, I'm going to start off with underscore A for art and D for department underscore MC. That'll be the protocol that I'll use for my naming for the primary button. Okay, so now I'm going to go inside it. Now, by the way, this dot in here, that's not going to come along for the ride because we've already got one in the original location. So that's not going to get in the way. We don't need to worry about renaming the dot. So we'll double click on here. We're going to add a layer and we're going to add a text box in that layer. So we'll go ahead. This is going to be for the art department, so I think the text should be somewhere in this neighborhood. I'm going to type in art department, and I'm going to say it's in room VA hyphen. It's in building A. Office number is 102. And so now I'm going to move this over a little bit. And now I want to animate this. Just go straight for the graphic symbol. If you try to make this invisible, there's no invisible option in text. And if you don't do a classic tween, the animation is going to be converted into a movie clip, and that's just going to cause more problems down the line. Actually, I take that back. It won't be converted into a movie clip. Text doesn't need to be a movie clip in order to animate, so the classic tween is the only one that converts it into a graphic, which is fine for us. So we'll go to the Insert drop-down menu, create a classic tween. If it wants to create it into a graphic, that's fine. Before we do anything else, we're going to rename this again, but this time without the underscore. I can get in there. Get rid of the 1. And this is going to be AD for art department. And we'll do the underscore between the AD and the tween, not at the beginning. Okay, so the idea of the underscore is so that it stacks up in alphabetical order when I start to bring them into the original movie clip. Okay, so in here I want to do an F6 in the middle frame over here, so I'll do an F6 there. And I'll go back to the first frame over here, and I'm going to click on here. Notice that this is no longer a text box, it's a graphic. And the color effects, I want alpha, and I want it all the way down to 0. It's going to fade from 0 to solid as this bubble here, or this dot, gets bigger. Then I want it to fade away, so that means I need an invisible or an alpha 0 at the back end. So I'm grabbing this first frame. I'm selecting either my Option or Alt key, dragging it over to the other side, and now we've got an invisible on the back side and on the front side. That means it's going to fade from alpha 0 to alpha 100% back to 0. And that's our setup. The animation is done. Now I'm going to double click on here just so that I have quick access to the text box, because I'm going to make more of these. But I'm going to reference this copy. So I'm going to come over here, selecting the MC, and I'm going to copy that. And now I'm going to go to my original kiosk movie. I'm going to go to the library, and I'm going to paste. And that puts it in here. There it is, along with the tween, the art department tween. It didn't replace the dot because it was already here. Now I need to go to the original. Let me grab the right selection tool. I need to go to the original movie clip that's going to be the dot, and I want to swap this out with the new art department one. So this option in here allows me to swap, and now I want to get the ADMC, hit OK, and it's swapped out, and let's take it for a test run. So if I click on the art department, it shows up. Looks like I may want to move it a little further, but for now I'm not going to fine tune it. I'll fine tune the location or the positions of the text boxes later. Okay, so I don't have to copy and paste into the other movie clip. All I need to do now is come back over here, and I need to name for the next category, which was animation. So I'll double click over here, and since animation is one word, I'll use the first initials, A lowercase n, and I'll rename this over here A lowercase n, and then I'll come over here and I'll rename this animation. And I'll go ahead and they're in room, or rather in building E, and the room number 185 and 189. So let me double check on that. Yeah, so that's right, 185 and 189. I'll make the box a little bit bigger. Okay, now I do want the animation box to be on this side, and now I want the paragraph to be flush left. And so I'll move that over like that. Okay, so AN, that's good. Copy that. Come back over to the first one, right click, paste that. Go to the animation button, which was this one, which is the 0 button. Double check, that's what that is. And I want to do a swap, and I want to do an AN swap, and I'll hit OK. Take it for a test run. Let's go to animation, and there it is. It shows up. Want to move it a little further away. I'll do that off camera. Okay, let's just do it one more time. So the next category is, I believe, art education. Let's double check. So it is art education. So we'll come back over here, and we're going to, before I do anything, I'm going to save this. And I'll just go ahead and save it, and I'll call it tool. Okay, so we're working on art education. So let's rename it first. AE and AE. And now we'll go ahead and call this art education. That. The room number is in room building D. That's 281. And I do think I want that more or less in the same location, but maybe just a little bit higher. Okay, so art education. Click on this, right click, copy, come back to the original, right click, paste. Here's art education over here. Do a swap and go to AE, hit OK. Let's try that. So art education, and it shows up off to the side. Okay, so I'll do the rest off camera, and I'll fix these. I'll just go into the text box and pull it out a little further. And I think the art department should come out a little further. And I mean, I'll fix one just to show you what I'm talking about. All I need to do is drill in and keep drilling into the text box. I don't want to mess with the animation in this frame. I want to mess with the text box relative to where it's relatively located. Because if I move the location within the graphic symbol, it moves throughout the whole symbol. So over here now you can see that the animation is where I put it outside where I moved it further. So you definitely want to go inside the symbol where the text is, and then you can move it. And now you'll see that the art department text is a little further out. I might want to readjust it and bring it in, but that's essentially what it's going to take. Okay, so I'll go ahead and clean those up, and I'm also going to bring in the other movie clips exactly the same way. and it'll be done in super fast time with the miracle of video editing. I'll wrap it up in a moment. All right, I'm back, and everything works correctly. All the buttons are lined up, and I went individually to the buttons to get them to what I thought was the right distance. Some of them could probably use a little bit of adjustment, but for now, as far as the tutorial is concerned, I'm done with this. And I've only got one more thing that I want to worry about here, and that is the size of this dot. So we'll pick up the final changes in the next movie. Next movie should go by fairly quickly.